Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Everybody, with God's assistance, we begin. And welcome to Monday morning programming right here on American Muslim 360. My name is William Kareem, and the name of the program is Living in the Upload Life. Yes, living in the upload life. That is the lifestyle of living in the universe of the World Wide Web. Yes, the World Wide Web. So it's important. I think that one of the topics that's important to understand is that there's so many people that are living in the universe of the World Wide Web that it's important to understand the some of the workings of the World Wide Web and how human beings actually, are able to communicate. I mean, we knew that when there was the Alexander Graham Bell did the telephone in order for the get a message from New York to California, that it was done by wire because wire was set up all over the country. All right. And through these telephone poles that went up and it went through. However, as time went on, we got into um, cell phone towers, and cell phone towers had to do with uh, um, connecting to the energy vibrations that was different telephone frequencies that were actually in the air. And so they would telephone, and the way that that came about was because if you remember AM radio, um, uh, it's automatic modulation, and then FM radio was fidelity modulation, and it had to do with connecting to radio frequency. So when you had 97.1 on 98.7, that meant that that was the frequency that it was on. It was 98.7. That was frequency. WBLS was 107.5. That meant that they were on a frequency level that was higher than 98.7, 107.5. It was a higher frequency. In each radio program actually had their own frequency that they got on. News 88, all day news, that was their individual frequency for them. So if you wanted them, you would turn the dial to 88 and it would come in. Or if you wanted WBLS, you turn it to 107.5, you turn it to that frequency. So as time went on, that they had higher frequencies that they were able to get to, and that's what the cell phone is all about. So now, this whole idea about frequency has elevated into the World Wide Web. And we're talking about frequencies that people are on. So when you talk about 1G, 2G, 3G, when you start talking about those things, you're talking about gigahertz, which are higher than radio frequencies. They're higher than radio frequencies, and so it's an elevation kind of thing that happens as far as energies and frequencies are concerned. Like you can continue to go up. They have television frequencies also that that we are part of. But in today's society, the other part that has happened is they put satellites in space. And the process of putting satellites in space, what it does is it elevates a higher frequency because the frequency can come from an antenna on Earth and connect with a frequency that's in outer space, a satellite that's in outer space. Um, and so these are some of the ideas that are happening as far as the upload life is concerned, because these upload life is connected to a bunch of frequencies. And there are three dominant ones. You've probably heard of them. There's well, the official name, Blink, is the official name for Chrome, Edge, and Opera. Well, you've heard of Chrome, uh, and you've probably heard of Edge, because Edge has to do with Microsoft. That's the browser that's connected to Microsoft. Then you have the WebKit, which is Safari, which has to do with Apple products. Basically, that's what it is. And then you have Gecko, which is a Firefox browser that you can go on. So you can go on Safari, you can go on Chrome, you can go on Firefox. Those are, major ones. But then on those, once you get that set up, then you're able to connect to social media sites. Like the dominant ones today is Facebook is the dominant social media platform where people go to communicate. Uh, YouTube and WhatsApp, Instagram and TikTok. Okay. And these are usually used for specializing in short videos that are made. And then they take those short videos and they're able to upload them onto these various sites like Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok. They're able to upload that. And it has this, personal kind of thing that happens with people, that it's made available so that people can express themselves, to the population of humans all over the world. But there are other key platforms like what WeChat, Snapchat, LinkedIn. These are specialized platforms that deal in. It's not for like social. It's social media, but it's specialized. LinkedIn is like for businesses and things like that. So today, that's just to give you a little history of it and how popular it has become. But our subject today is not going to be living in the upload life. Our subject today is going to be living outside of the upload life. Oh, so, Brother Kareem, what are you talking about? Living outside of the upload life. Well, just imagine that there is no universe that's called the World Wide Web. Just imagine that there is no Facebook, YouTube, or something like that. Um, we would have to live in the natural creation that would be outside of the upload life. And in order to live in the outside of the upload life, there are it's a whole different matter about what's important in living outside of the upload life. You know, food, clothing, and shelter is the things that wind up being important for human beings. All right, the food, clothing, and shelter. So food becomes important because in order for you to live a life, you have to be very conscious of not what's going on in the upload life, but you have to be very conscious of your food intake and the way that you intake it. So we have all of these various places that are selling fast food. Um, and I don't need to name any of them because you know exactly what I'm talking about. These are franchises who specialize in food. So the question becomes, like with you and me living outside of the upload life, not even dealing with the upload life at all, how do we handle our food situation? And our food situation winds up being one where, we have to pay attention to it. We have to give attention to it in order for us to survive. That's living outside of the upload life. Okay. So food becomes very important and the intake of food. Clothing become important. And clothing are so abundant today. I mean, I have so many clothing is crazy. But clothing is abundant today. I don't have to wait till Christmas, to get a gift. Oh, because when I was younger, that's how it went. You get a whole new either was Christmas or it was a birthday. That you get this whole new outfit. You get a new shirt, you get some new pants, you get some new sneakers, you get some new shoes for your birthday, or you get it for Christmas. That was at that time when I was coming up. But today, oh, you got it. You just go on upload life and just whatever it is you want. You don't have to wait till Christmas, and you don't have to wait till your birthday. Whatever it is that you want, you can just go ahead and get it. But as far as clothing is concerned, as a matter of fact, even today. if there was no upload life, you can go to many department stores that now specialize in selling all kinds of clothes, and they sell it at cheap prices too, to a great degree. They have these specialized stores that sell cheap clothes. And then if you want free clothes, you can always go to the Salvation Army or some of these other thrift shops that are abundantly available. So we would deal with food and we would deal with clothing. And then the other part is shelter. And I said last week that the poorest person in the United States is doing better than 50% of the people around the world because most of us have food, clothing, and shelter. It's not to say that we don't have a homeless population, that we do. We have a homeless population, but most people in the United States have shelter. It might not be the greatest shelter, it might not be high upscale shelter, but it's shelter and that people have it. And so this is what is needed to live outside of the upload life: food, clothing, and shelter. And many of us, even when you participate in the universe of the upload life, you have to have the food, clothing, and shelter. That's what you have to have as far as living outside of the upload life. But the other question becomes this: when we are not participating in the upload life, which you must say it has become a very important factor in our lives. We're talking about we're talking about uh, 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 we spend our time, we dedicate time on a daily basis to the upload life. And if that's the case, that we do, if we uh, dedicate time past food, clothing, and shelter to the upload life, then how much time is actually being spent in the upload life? But I'm saying to you, suppose there is no upload no life for you, for us to go ahead and participate in. Then the question becomes, what kind of activities do we participate in that is not in the upload life? And I'm going to stop right there for a moment, and I'm going to take a raised hand of Deprecia Hadi. Assalamu alaikum. Your microphone is open.
Wa alaikum assalam to you, Brother William, and to the AM 360 Zoom listenership. This is the priest Abdul Hadi calling from Flint, Michigan. And I wanted to say, when you say the program today is like on the outside of the upload life, that kind of brings me to, when people say they live off the grid,
Yes.
would that too be included? Because they're like, well, no, we're not going to use the telephone lines. The frequency of the lines and use your consumer energy and stuff and city water and that type of thing. They live in like in like what like a rural area maybe, they're not participating in again, like I said, what consumers energy might be given. They'll say, well, no, we gonna use the propane or something, or to get our heat in, and we might hook your lighting system up with solar lights and things rather than being on the grid or the upload. Would that be considered as well?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, well, because living off the grid has to do with not participating in um, uh, the activities of most people participate in society. Today, it would be not participating in the upload life. That's what it would be, not participating in the
Mm-hmm.
upload life, and not participating in those things those activities that the upload life brings into the normal life, not participating in that. And so living off the grid also means not participating in uh, partials that have to do with uh, fast foods, uh,
Mm-hmm.
ha fast foods, movies, going to the movies,
Mm-hmm.
concerts, entertainment, and things like that. And that's what we're talking about. All right, so living off the grid. So, what are some of the things, what are some of the activities that if the upload life wasn't around, then and we were
Mm-hmm.
supposed to just live in the off the grid or in just basic society, what are some of the things that we could do?
Mm-hmm.
And these are historicals that you probably remember, Sister Deprecia, that when there was no such thing as the upload life, there were things that we did. And one of those
Mm-hmm.
things that we did was we concentrated on cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been cleaning the house, it might have been cleaning the
Mm-hmm.
car, it might have been, improving the home, as far as cleaning the home is concerned, and cleaning the self. Yeah, that's something that we participated in, which was an activity that we participated in before the upload life. That if we had time on our hands, we would take that time and we would dedicate it to cleaning. You follow me? And there are others also, and we're going to take another. We're going to bring in Sister Amira Shahid. Assalamu alaikum. Your microphone is open.
I like my salam, Brother William. You're looking good this morning and sounding good.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, this is a good conversation because what we were doing then was living more closer to a natural life, you know, uh, doing things from a natural standpoint and intuitiveness and our God consciousness and things that we can easily do. We can easily do. We can survive if we didn't have certain things. We'll create them, and even when it comes down to stretching the food and growing our food and making our clothes and so on and so forth. So part of that represented a balance for us, and part of this upload life represent an imbalance for us because it pulls away a lot of attention. There's so many influences out there, and sometimes we can't distinguish, what's good, what's bad, and or we just take, whatever we take. So if we stay closer to the natural nature that Allah created us to be, then we can be that natural human being that He wants us to be too. So it has its advantage in living, outside of that upload life. And I'll stop there.
Well said. Well said, sis. Thank you for your participation and your comments. Sister Martha, assalamu alaikum. Your microphone is open. But you're on mute, of course. You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
There
There you
we
go.
are.
Yes.
Okay, alaikum assalam. As Amira and Depreeta were speaking, I was writing in the chat, how I see movies, my granddaughter watches these things where individuals go out into the woods and they literally chop down trees and wedge, do grooves into the wood and shaving it and all. They have a little knife or whatever. And then they go and catch foods, hunting, fishing, and then they pop up materials. Now, and I think would that just be a temporary thing that individuals will engage in, but nonetheless, it allows them to breathe in. I've noticed the difference of being in Florida and breathing in the air and being in North Carolina, where I was in Goldsboro. The air was so much cleaner. And then being here in Atlanta in the area, East Point area, it is quite the same as far as breathing. So it I guess it tends to have a little um what do you call it? We feel the difference, the health wise, when we enter into a thinking even to not necessarily live off the grid totally, because there are things environmentally that is part of living in the upload life that we don't see occurring. I'll stop right there.
Alhamdulillah, good points that are actually being made. Uh, and so the question becomes, you know, one of the other points that, if we weren't, we're supposed to live off the grid. Thank you for that, Sister Deprecia, and live more in the natural life. Would we here in America be able to hunt and gather our food if there were no supermarkets for us to go to? Is there, do we have connections to those who are hunters and gatherers that may live in your area that you could go to and actually buy something from the natural creation? Here in New York, I mean, I would have to go upstate or someplace in order to connect with someone like that. Someone that is actually, growing, hunting and gathering with farms and cows and fish, and I would have to actually go outside of the city, the urban area, in order to do that. But what would be the circumstance and situation of would we be capable? No supermarkets kind of thing. What would we be capable? Yeah, your microphone, Sister Martha, please.
Okay, and I don't think so. Really, truly, I think a whole mass of people, their thinking will not allow them to be engaged in the natural disposition. Uh, because, right away, we think also as we consume, we have to excrete. We have to, discard of our from ourselves. And even that would probably present a massive mm, chaos. I can see the chaos first. Now it can evolve to the point of training, teaching, persons participating in doing that. But to immediately say the next 5 years, and individuals started doing that, I wonder if it will be for the younger generation to catapult into that position, but the older ones with medical situations and all of that, I think it will be very chaotic in the beginning.
Interesting. Interesting. Sister Deprecia?
Oh, yes. I lower my hand.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
still here.
Okay. I saw your hand is still up. Yeah, okay. All right. Yes. And that's kind of like the point that we are working to recognize this morning, that the younger generation, we're talking about our children and grandchildren that may not have lived in the natural creation the way that we have, and had to do things like um, uh, barter, go to the farm and get the fruits and vegetables, and or who may have had a connection with the farms, and to get the food kind of situation for us, to survive, uh, may not know how to boil water in order to get the germs out. So, because they would rather have bottled water. Water is free, but because they don't know that you can boil water to sanitize it, and there have been times that I've done that. But the whole idea of, what do we do? The whole idea of eating one meal a day, or sharing one meal with your family, because we're in a situation where everyone is doing DoorDash, having food conveniently delivered to their home, or going to some of the fast food uh, establishments to buy their food. Like if if I can't get a delivery service to bring me food, I can at least walk to. Yeah, I mean that's a difficulty walking to one of the fast food restaurants or going across the street, to have the the grocery store fix me a sandwich as opposed to being able to fix a sandwich myself. Uh, the whole idea of buying just simple, just buying some eggs and making an egg sandwich. I mean, does that even come into, the thought, taking bread and cheese and making a egg and cheese sandwich, you know, look, let's even go further. While I'm having a coffee maker and making your own coffee, as opposed to going to one of these uh, specialized stores that sell coffee. Would we be akin to doing that, living off of in the natural creation as opposed to living in the upload life? Would we be able to do that? Um, the other part is as far as what some of the other ways that we used to spend our time that's not in the upload life. We would take that time, cleaning our house or cleaning ourselves or cleaning our car, uh, um, grooming the front yard, the backyard, making sure, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make improvements. I'm going to make improvements as far as myself is concerned. I'm going to go ahead and cut my nails, and I'm going to, trim my hair. I'm going to do some things as improving in the house. That's some of the things that
Mm-hmm.
we used to do. We used to just, improve, looking around the house and say, well, let me get rid of some of these books, man, because I have too many books in here, and to be consciously aware of that
Mm-hmm.
in getting rid of some of these things, that it would be an improvement in the environment. uh working
Mm-hmm.
on working on yourself to improve, some of the things that you're doing, as far as we would do as far as the self is concerned. And then there's the other part of physical activity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have cars, buses, and trains today, that take us around, and they have scooters now that you don't even have to pedal, man. You don't have to pedal anymore. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's an exercise. What about just walking a couple of miles to the store?
Mm-hmm.
This is physical activity. That these are some of the things that we could do if we're not in the upload life. And so I'm mentioning that because there's another part. Sister, we're going to take Sister Amira Shahid. Assalamu alaikum. Your microphone is open. You're on mute, Sister Amira. You're still on mute.
Can
There
you
you
hear me
go.
now? Okay.
Yeah.
I think of three things in the context of this conversation: distinguishing conveniency, distinguishing survival of the fittest, and I think what's practical to live a life. So being able to distinguish all those things in the
What is the
categories.
third one? I heard convenience, survival of the fittest, and what is the other one?
Uh, com- uh, oh yeah, I lost my thought there too.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Continue. Go ahead.
yeah,
Continue.
being practical. What's
Oh,
practical?
practical.
What's
Ooh.
practical? You know, and being able to distinguish all those things and see where it can fit in our personal life, how it fits in overall, society, and the balance that may come with this, you know. So there's some questions that we can ask ourselves along the way to see what works for us as a individual, what works for us as a family, what works for us as a society, and as a man would say, bring us to this logical conclusion. And I'll stop there.
Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Interesting
Mhm.
comment, especially the part about distinguish, to be able to
Mhm.
differentiate, to be able to tell apart, to be discriminate and whether of what should be done. And
Mhm.
sometimes I find that younger people have a difficult time being able to differentiate. I remember my grandson, it was told that he was supposed to take some cardboard boxes downstairs. And he couldn't figure out that the best way to take the cardboard box downstairs would be to break the cardboard box down and then take it
Mhm.
downstairs. I mean,
Mhm.
I remember watching one of my daughters uh, that was living with me temporarily, that she didn't really know how to operate a broom and dustpan. She did. I mean, the way that she was using it, it was like you could tell that it was something that she wasn't used to doing.
Mhm.
So this is the other part that we get away from the natural parts and some of the natural pieces that you and I grew up with, that we learned how to do, as far as simple things like I said, sweeping and mopping. That
Mhm.
it's something that our younger generation doesn't necessarily know how to do, but and they're more dependent on those things that are conveniences,
Mhm.
convenient ways to mop, and convenient ways to clean. This idea about convenience, yeah. Sister Deprecia.
Yeah, and some of the things too, brother William, that we were doing, and you said, well, what do we do when you off the grid or living that basic lifestyle? Things we had to do was clean the chicken houses, gather the eggs. Where we run to the store today. Oh, I need some eggs. Well, back then stores would be so many miles away, you couldn't afford to just jump up and say, "Oh, I don't have eggs, so we're gonna run to the store." But you had your own egg chicken hen house, as they say, and you had to keep that clean. That was the activities. You had to keep the barn clean where the cows and your horses was at. So always a lot of activity going on for our physical, as well as our mental, because you were keeping busy. You didn't have all of this bombardment of your uploading your TVs and the programs and as we do today. So it was a much more simple, I would even say much more refined life than it is today, because everybody's just every which way today. And I think it was more quieter and more settled. So those were some of the things that we had to do as well as for exercise and things when we were living. And I guess you say we did have some electricity, but it was still like off the grid because you weren't not running to the store getting everything that you need. You made your bread, you know. You had your chickens and you processed your own food and stuff, more so than what we're doing today, living the upload life. I think it was a much more simpler, cleaner, and refined life. Thank you so, Candy.
Alhamdulillah. Sister Martha.
Yes, and I would add to that, the idea of exercising, not thinking of it as exercising, but exercising and planning, a lot of planning. That way, when that one meal, you've incorporated your, like you say, cleaning up. Your, how would you have that broom? We use our hands a whole lot with the cleaning. So that, and again back to the wood. So I was watching civilization as a civil the country. You've been reflecting on the country's development and it's processing governing powers in the country. So I'm thinking on the ones who looked at the vastness of coming from the east to going to the west. All right. And they saw the vastness of this land, but came into understanding people lived on the land that they didn't just readily see, but they saw when they started seeing going into the land and wanting to even just lay track lines for transportation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Would we be readily connected with one another if you're on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast? Like you started out talking about Alexander Graham Bell and that communication. How would our communication be? And then would we allow the production process to understand the recreation to say, if you plant this today, can you replant that and would it cause a sandstorm
Mm-hmm.
because you haven't planned, you haven't communicated to understand that you can't just level the grounds and cut down all the trees and don't think about replanting trees. So I'll stop right there.
Yes, they, we take those. Well, that's somebody else's job, kind of approach to it. Uh, yeah, I need to communicate with my family member that's, could be some distance away, but I'm depending on somebody else to be in the middle so that I could connect. But what if that connection wasn't available? That person and that individual wasn't in the middle. The question then becomes, how are you, or how would you would you what would you do? What would you do? How was it done before? You know how it was done before? People used to write letters. They don't even write letters anymore. They don't write letters anymore. They're trying to get rid of the postal service. Actually, because everything is um the upload life. Everything is so convenient in the upload life, but the connection is this, that the United States Post Office has a network that goes all over the country. And you could write a letter and put it in the mailbox and it'll get to its destination in 2 to 3 days. But do you think that people think like that today? No, sirree, Bob, not at all. People don't think about writing letters. Yeah, get on the computer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But what if you had to go back to that? Would you even think about it? Would you even think about it
And,
as far as communicating with someone that's in another state or across country? Would you think about it? Or would you just say, well, like I just have to wait until they get finished, until they straighten this thing out before I'm actually communicate with my loved one from, in another part of the company. You know, I'm the other point that I want to make with this is to let you know and to let me know that
mm,
because somebody said talked about practical skills. um
mm,
we were taught practical skills, and today we
mm,
don't teach our children practical skills. We don't teach them about sweeping and mopping and cleaning and just the practice,
mm,
breaking down a box to make it easier for you to take downstairs to take it to break it down. We don't teach that, but we learned how to do those things through practical skills that were given to us by our parents. And so you should know, we should know, in the pioneer generation, that we are valuable and we are important because we have the practical skills. We have those. And the time may come that our practical understanding of application of things, our practical understanding of what it takes to live off the grid, to live the natural life, to be a hunter
mm,
gatherer and to know where to go to get those those the food, to know how to pluck a chicken, to know how to, you go, where do you go to get the eggs? Where do you go? You so these practical ideas, the ability to live in the natural life, to live outside of the upload life, is valuable to the family and
Mm-hmm.
to the community. It's valuable. So and then there's the other part. And there's the other part, which is one of the most important parts, especially as far as the social idea is concerned. And that is the spiritual, activity that we
Mm-hmm.
would participate in. The whole idea about making prayer, of developing the spiritual self, the moral self, the spiritual and moral self wind up being very important today. Why? Because it's not on the upload life. I mean, you see the spirituality. I mean, people are arguing over spirit. Well, is music haram? No, music is not haram. Well, this is what Prophet Muhammad is right. No, Christianity is right. No, this one is, no, that one is right. The spiritual idea that we have, as far as Islam is concerned and Muslims are concerned, the whole idea of the whole idea that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he made the journey, to the various levels, and he brought down with us this responsibility to make prayer only 5 times a day, only 5 times a day, to keep us in communication spiritually and morally, to keep us in communication with each other, with our creator, number one, and then with the spirituality and the moral sense of our own self, that frequency of spirituality. Because it doesn't matter, and you know this, that there are people that live their life for food, clothing, and shelter, and are some of the worst people in the world. I mean, their whole attitude is, I mean, their whole moral compass, their whole spiritual compass is off, because all they're thinking about is themselves and what they have and what they're able to get. I went in the store the other day, and all these people are in the store, and they're all trying to grab things for their own self, to make sure that their own self is taken care of. Whereas there are people on the street, living on the street, that have 10 cups, and it's asking for, some money to get something to eat. And I don't have it. I got to take care of myself, kind of thing. So the whole idea of the spiritual idea, the moral idea, is important to us. And as Muslims in America and around the world, that is what we present to living outside of the upload line. That's what and it's valuable and it's important. It's valuable and it's important that we
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we remember them. So that's and everything that I have to say today, to let us know that we are important, especially as far as our as pioneers, and our ability to live off the grid, as someone, I think the sister Deprecia said, to live off the grid, to live the sister Mira said, to live the natural life. That's not
Mm-hmm.
part of the upload life. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying that the upload life is, not good, because there's a lot of good that's in there, a lot of good.
That's right.
There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
good, but what if the upload life doesn't exist? How do we
Mm.
make sure that ourself, our family, and our community is well? Sister Amira Shahid, your microphone is open.
Assalamu alaikum. This
Walaikum
is,
salam.
as the old saying say, give them something to think about. This conversation should be brought to the forefront again and again and again and again, and maybe on different arenas, because for the most part we don't think as much as we should think about our life and our future, where we've been, where we are, and where we need to go. And because of a lot of distractions from the upload life, it's so convenient. It's so convenient that we don't even, use our mind power to navigate through life as well as we should. So I appreciate this conversation. I'm glad I got
Um,
on this one because it
um,
definitely gave me something to think about. And not only for myself, but as I generate conversations with people, it's engaging. It's really engaging. So thank you, Brother William.
Oh, praise be to Allah, the guardian evolver. Yes, that's what we do. Because this is an experience. I know if it's an experience that I'm having, then I know it's an experience that you're having. It's an experience that we have because the human being is the human being. We all live in this society together, and we're experiencing the same thing. Assalamu alaikum, Kareem Hamid. Your microphone is open.
Yes, praise be to Allah. Assalamu alaikum to everyone.
Walaikum assalam.
It is,
Um,
boy, it's a real deep freeze here in St. Louis. Yes, it's below zero.
Wow.
Yes, sir. You know, the things that we have been given, conveniences, those are blessings from Allah. At one
Mhm.
time we had to make candles. It took a while to gather the wax and string and all of it. It was very labor intensive. But Allah eases the burden on the human being. You know,
mhm,
uh, it, uh, yes, He eases the burden. These things are blessings from Allah. Now, how we utilize them is up to us. If we misuse them, they become a curse on us and not blessings. No doubt about that. But at the same time, I remember I was raised the in St. Louis, the city, but our school used to take us on field trips to the rural areas. There's a place here called Grants Farm, and the school would take the children out to Grants Farm, and we would see the cows, we would see the chickens laying eggs, how food was planted and processed and everything. Uh, if you ask a child now, what does a chicken look like? They say, well, three-piece and fried, you know?
Very true. Very true.
Although now we don't knock the three-piece and fries, that eases the labor on us, which is all right. But we should always keep in touch with the basics, with the basics.
I
Take,
mean,
take our children out for field, and we need to go and familiarize ourselves with the natural process as we enjoy these conveniences that Allah has provided for us. But don't forget the basics, the basic foundation. It is things that are developed from out of the earth, from out of the earth. So we need to, and then sometimes things can happen. I'm concerned that the way things are developing and people getting unemployed and massive unemployment, losing their homes and all of that. I believe there will come a time that those that know how to live off of the basics will survive and help others. No
I
doubt about
mean,
it.
I mean,
So I
I
don't
mean,
knock the conveniences we have, but sometimes we misuse them.
I mean,
They can become a curse on us.
I
So
mean,
anyway, it's important that we take our children out to the natural environment and ourselves, because sometimes we have lost that connection with
yes,
the
yeah.
natural nature
Stay
of.
connected to the natural. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right.
Mhm.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank
Excellent
you. Thank
program.
you so very much. That was wonderful. Yeah, we have to stay connected to the natural creation. We should know about that farm. Take
Mhm.
our children out because the possibility that, listen, if we introduce them to the farm and where it's at, that they would know, Oh, I know where the farm is. I know
Mhm.
what the I know that I could go to this place and I can get some apples and oranges and vegetables and I can get a chicken and I can get some eggs. Oh, I know where to go for that. Yeah, as opposed to, well, I gotta wait till it comes across the street, in the supermarket. I just have to wait. And it might the supermarket may never open again, but we still have to be able to have that connection so that we can make sure that those things are taken care of. You mentioned the whole idea about candles and candle making. I mean, I remember my grandmother, she had two lanterns. She had two lanterns. Those oil lanterns, she had those two oil lanterns. They stayed with oil, and just in case there wasn't no electricity, she kept on the top shelf in the kitchen. And there were times that she would have to light, because it was a lantern that had the wick that was
Yeah,
in it, and it
coal
was
oil was the food. Coal oil, they call it.
right. And
All right.
and yeah, and then we would light the wick and put the glass back on it. Yeah, man, but you, to be able to make a candle, to even know what a candle is made of, to be able to know what a candle is made of, and I mean, I wonder if they know that it's made of that string is actually in the candle, and that there's a possibility that it could be made. So to have those kinds of skills, for our children to have those kinds of skills, or for us to be able to have those kinds of skills, it winds up being very, very important. So, alhamdulillah, we're at the end of the program. We've got a couple of minutes left, and I want to go ahead and say that give some announcements that tomorrow I'll be here doing Living in the Upload Life. Not living, I'm sorry, doing stories of the lives of the prophets with Ibn Kathir. Um, and we're talking about Prophet Yusuf. But I wanted to also ask, are we still in the month of Shaban, or have we gone are we in the month of Shaban, or Rejab, what?
We are in the month of Shaban, and this should be the eighth day
Eighth
today
day.
of Shaban. And everyone, it is so wonderful. It's amazing how the mind works. I literally forget I forget the date of January
Right,
because I'm thinking on Shaban. Uh,
right.
and the fasting and all of those things. It's so amazing how we're talking about living in the upload life and easing and being balanced. I'll put it that way, being balanced so that we don't take things for granted. And that's what this month does for uh, those of us who are turning ourselves to really focusing on the Prophet Muhammad. And I say it in that way, in the sense of uh, uh, the human attributes that can come out of ourselves. It makes us look deeper within and say, oh, let me be more kinder. And the more we practice it, or those who are doing it, alhamdulillah, praise be to God. But for those of us who need to have that generated, that living in the upload life from the inside out,
Hmm.
oh, yes. We will see a transition in this country and everywhere else. But I'll stop right there. Yes, Shaban.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, we're in the month of Shaban, and very soon it'll be Ramadan. Uh, so we look forward to that. And see, again, that's not living in the upload life, the universe of see, because the upload life is the universe. To participate in Ramadan is living in the natural creation. It is what has been subscribed to us as far as the religion of Islam is concerned, that we're going to fast for 30 days. There's people be like,
Excuse me,
what? You want to stop? You
excuse me,
want to fast
William.
for 30 days? Yeah, go ahead, Kareem.
Yes, sir. The month of Ramadan, when we break the fast, we are to break the fast with a natural food, not a processed food, not hot dogs, not bologna. No, that which comes directly from the earth, dates, grapes, you know, that keeps us in touch with the natural flow. Matter of fact,
Beautiful.
it is designed somewhat to take us back to our fitra, which is natural, the Eid al-Fitra, the very nature in which Allah created everything. So in
Ameen.
Ramadan, when we break the fast, we ought to break it with a natural food from the earth. Thank you, my brother.
Thank,
Wonderful.
thank you for reminding us of that. And that's basically telling us to not participate in the upload life and those things that uploads life on. Well, I'm gonna order something more, to break my fast with, or I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the store, get a candy bar. I'm gonna break my fast with some potato chips, but dates and water or other natural foods. That's right. It calls us off of the influences of the upload life and gets us back into the natural creation. So and this example that when we as pioneers, when we give these kinds of examples to our children and our grandchildren, when don't think that they won't take it in. Don't think they won't take it in. Don't think that when we tell them, no, you're going to eat dates and water. I don't want to eat. Well, here goes some grapes. No, I want some potato chips. No, I want some chicken nuggets. No, 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 no. That's not how you break the fast. You break the fast with the natural. They will remember that. It will be a memory that will be stored in them. And that's what we should have. I got a couple of minutes left, and I wanted to go ahead and say something to invite you to at 10 o'clock to dial into a new day for Al Islam Community Radio 971-379-9162. Today is Reviving the Quran and Sunnah with Ibn Yaqub Islam and Sister Khalila Ziad. And what else is happening today on American Muslim 360, Sister Martha?
Today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, MAP 5, Muslim American Power 5, Honorable Cheryl Sudath, Amatullah Alaji Sabri, and uh, um, Fleming Elamine all come to bring. I think this is the week where Imam Abdul Alim, Muhammad Abdul Alim, comes back to discuss governance and political interactions, and then our civic connections. And then at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., Optimal Health with Abdul Shahid, Khafi Shahid from Atlanta, Georgia, and he comes with more about health symptometry. And then 7 to 8 p.m., Imam Abdul Aziz, Maya ala kulli hal, together under any and all circumstances. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, and I thank you, brothers and sisters, Sister Martha, Brother Kareem Haneen, Sister Amira Shahid, and our sister Deprecia Abdul Hadi. Thank you all so very much for your participation. You all have really made this a successful program. It's not an I, William Kareem. It was a we program. Alhamdulillah for that.
Thank Allah for you.
I mean, and so until tomorrow, please join me tomorrow from 8 a.m. for 1 hour, stories of the lives of the prophets. And we're going to be talking about one of the great prophets of Islam, and not only Islam, but of Christianity and Judaism, Prophet Joseph or Prophet Yusuf. Okay, fascinating, fascinating. So make sure you join me tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Stories of the Lives of the Prophets by Ibn Kathir. And until then, I give you the greetings of Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of the Most High be with you all.
Walaikum assalam.
I
Wa
mean,
alaikum
alaikum
assalam.
assalam.